A permanently living document. Chapter 22. You can't edit your speeches in real life, but you can edit the book you wrote and self-published with Kindle Direct Publishing Services. I know because I've done it. I'm not going to have to do it again if you've listened to any of these other videos. And I know because I've done it. My oldest boy often finds typos in my work and lords them over me. I complain about it, but a really good editor who knows how to get to you to work hard is hard to find. Maybe I should start paying him. I just did finish a chapter about the worker deserving his wages, right? But I have been able to edit and rerun my ebooks and print-on-demand works. It's handy. There's a really unfortunate YouTube video of a youth pastor mispronouncing Abraham pitching his tents in the worst possible way of using all those syllables. I'll let you figure it out if you're going to Google that one. Save it for later when you're off the church's Wi-Fi. But it illustrates the value of saying what you mean to say. And thanks to the fluidity of the internet's posting options, you can edit what's been said. This is the reality we live in these days, a world of documented everything. A few weeks before I got to writing this chapter, a national airline was lambasted for their treatment of a customer who was forcibly drug off a plane. Because it wasn't just a few random people's stories of what happened on the plane. There was a live video of the poor soul being pulled limply through the aisle of the plane. Video seems is still hard and fast. But our documents aren't so hard and fast anymore. At least online anyways. Our documents, or the words we want to say online, can be edited. They aren't the more tangible forms of their makeup like in books or in documents of pen and paper before them. Most comment sections following any online content allow for comments to be deleted or edited for the little red squiggly lines that let us know when we messed up. I post tweets all the time and realize they need to be deleted and retweeted with their, T-H-E-I-R, instead of their, T-H-E-R-E. But some places let you do something unique to a human conversation in our era. Edit your comments in real time. Some show that things have been edited, and others have organically derived user cultures that enforce the mentions of editing, but the ability to edit published work where it be foreign to most intellectuals of humanity's history, would be foreign to most intellectuals of humanity's history. When I published my first paperback novella, Gunfire, book 1 of the Pyrock Chronicles, which is unpublished by the way, so don't go looking for it, it had the where there was a they needed to be. And I went word blind during the editing process and missed it. And lo and behold, on my 6th copy, I noticed that it was there. That typo was there. It took me 6 seconds to fix it via KDP's amazing services, and everyone besides my college roommate, childhood friends, and brothers will get an error-proof copy of the book. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle didn't have that with The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Homer didn't have it when he wrote the Odyssey. But we do, and that changes the books we write if it already hasn't changed the way we consider the books we read. And we can take a moment to thank the Lord Jesus for those red squiggly lines that make us look like we remembered everything from grade 6 English, so aptly forgotten online these days. A pastor's borderline heretical blog post can be edited. An author's ill-referenced commentary can be adjusted to cite sources and references properly. We're living in an era of editable online content and print on demand. Ideas won't just be set free into the world via paperback and publishing contract anymore. They will be led until death by the hands and minds of their authors. Hey, I used the right there. But what does that mean? How will that impact the world? If the Bible and the faith it describes is true, and in fact a truth claim, then the best environment for it to show itself is a place where truth can be so ruthlessly and efficiently checked. And checked and checked and checked. Do a 5-minute check on the plagiarisms and inaccuracies of the Book of Mormon and ask yourself if Joseph Smith could write what he wrote back in 1840 in a blog these days. Could he? He couldn't, because people would add to the comments section a number of changes to the doctrine would force the site to fall apart. Only a real truth claim could withstand the scrutiny. If you're interested, Google CES letter and see what for yourself. It's a great document on the source. This will go deeper than simple grammar issues and the humanities' universal dislike for managing a bibliography, but it will mean that lies need to be covered up or planned for or simply not committed anymore. In a world so connected to the ability to research alongside the content it consumes, your opinion on any truth will have the scrutiny of millions of searchable results per second via Google to compete with. Statements can only be made if they are the truest thing the statement maker knows, or else they will be considered lies waiting to happen. But a truth claim, seeking to be relevant in a changing society or culture, could be changed as fast as popular icons change. And it could stay relevant, referencing what it needs, adding chapters as needed, editing as needed, and an editing environment becomes need-driven by the sheer availability of the options to edit. Yeah, it's really not noticed by people who don't write, but the world really is in this new kind of atmosphere where books can be edited, and a lot of writers are pointing this out when it's edited for sensitivity purposes or for woke speak and stuff like that. Roald Dahl was recently in the news. He's been dead for a while, but his books have been edited so that troublesome parts to more sensitive readers have been removed and replaced, as if it would help sell the legacy item, the legacy of these bits, and they're basically doing it to any author who's no longer here to tell these people that no, they may not change their work. You have authors like I forget his name now. You have authors that are complaining about this on behalf of these deceased authors, saying it's essentially vandalism to their work. If it was a statue and you decided that no, this statue needs a mustache, and you drew one on because it was the fashion of the day to have mustaches, you would call that vandalism. But since we do it to books, we just call it progress. But we are living in an age of a permanently living document, which does grate against the sensibilities of people who have to grapple with works that were created in a time when that didn't happen by authors who are no longer with us. And that's important to note, that they're not going to permanently living document documents that were created that way, because they're created in such ways to never really have much of a truth claim to have to defend. But books like what Christendom uses for a lot of its stuff, like a lot of its theology and its teaching, are by dead guys who can't fight for themselves anymore. And so when you have people going after books and taking out problematic parts that they don't like, or parts that they don't want to see or don't want to contend with because of the historicity of it, you don't have people there defending those pieces of work the way you would if someone came after my books, and I can say no, I don't want my books to say that, and defending it in real time. And you see this even from Christians in a very, very bizarre way. It must have been about 6 months ago. The Gospel Coalition posted a picture of C.S. Lewis with a motivational C.S. Lewis quote on the boat, except for the part where they photoshopped out him smoking a cigarette, because C.S. Lewis smoked. They literally took a picture of like a real life event where C.S. Lewis was answering questions, and they decided to take a picture of him. He was smiling, kind of laughing, and he was smoking a cigarette, and they photoshopped out the cigarette because it didn't agree with their brand. That is the worst kind of misrepresentation. Like, yeah, if you agree with C.S. Lewis's work, then you have to at least be, tacitly involved with C.S. Lewis's practices and understand that, yeah, he was a guy who smoked. Even if you don't smoke, even if you think smoking is against what you would do, you have to understand. And use another picture of C.S. Lewis then. But they didn't want to. They would rather edit what was in the past because they want a permanently living document. And that is a feature of the internet, not a bug. So, hope that helps. Enjoy the next chapter.